Today's episode is sponsored by Tectonic Tourists. Do you need a van or equipment to go on tour? Tectonic Tourists has you covered. Large, reliable vans and great sounding equipment that bands like Metz, City of Caterpillar, Page 99, Chain Cult, Soul Glow, Infant Island, Soft Kill, and many more have used to tour and play all over North America. If you have a tour coming up, go to tectonictourist.com. Tectonic, like tectonic plates. TECTONIC, tourist.com. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you that we have a Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine. It encapsulates pretty much everything that I do between music, zine writing, the podcast, the label, and so much more. Check it out at patreon.com/humanmachine. And now I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing Agencies by Northeast Regional, featuring my new pal, Jeff Byers, on guitar and vocals. The song comes from their new 7-inch, Fitness, which comes out January 16th on Tor Johnson Records.
My memory is notoriously not that great when it comes to some of that stuff, and all the younger years kind of blend together. And maybe not best to say, but Thriller by Michael Jackson's probably like comes to mind. You're around my age, I think, right?
Probably,
like,
yeah.
I'm 42.
Yeah, we're close.
And then, but also I remember Burning Down the House by Talking Heads. And specifically their music video where David Byrne's face is on the road. And I just remember thinking that was really scary for some reason, like a floating head on the road, which I guess was just concerning. Those are some I remember from early, but even earlier, trying to place those years might not be the best with this one. Maybe.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, because, some people, they remember right away. It's like, oh, yeah, it was definitely the song. And then sometimes it's like with me, I think it's like, I don't even know if it's the first song I'd have to say probably like Jailhouse Rock is the,
okay.
Just my mom used to watch Elvis videos when I was like a really, really small child. And like when I was like when the table got turned on me one time, I was really drawing a blank, and I'm like, here, I've been sort of asking that question for, like however long. And I'd have to say that, because it's just like, but it's like you kind of don't know like what, like which part is like just you filling in the blanks, but it doesn't really matter, it's just like, what's the first thing that comes to mind with that. And yeah, Thriller is that was such a cultural like touch point as far as like song and video goes, for real. Like, just it was like a mini horror movie in a video. So like that's gotta have, I don't know if like you would have seen the video at the first time that you ever heard the song or not, but like that would leave an impression for sure.
Yeah, I don't, it's like my dad probably had the copy of the record because it was like the most sold record of all time for a long time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was also listening to the Beatles a lot, but that never really stuck with me. So I don't know if that like, I remembered that. Yeah, that's a hard question for me, but even though it's a really simple question.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Burning Down the House too, because like I have a really weird memory with that one, because like this isn't my memory, but like my cousin one time was telling me this story. Like we were at my cousin's house, and he was like sort of like, we were both young, but he was like watching like his younger like cousin or whatever, and that song came on the radio, and he looked over and his cousin had set the end of the couch on fire. And he was like burning down there. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, he's telling me this story, and like I had met this kid before, and I'm like this sweet little kid, just like, and like later on, like one of my brothers ended up setting like something on fire in our house, and we were just like, what is it with us? Like
they took it as a mission statement.
Yeah, I mean, apparently, like, it's just like, I wonder how many stories there are like that, like regarding that song, like how many couches or curtains or whatever got caught on fire. But
have you ever been to Richmond?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever play like Strange Matter?
Yeah, couple times.
There's a block down the street of so the Strange Matter was on the 900 block of Grace, and then the 1100 block of Grace was called Hell Block for a while because people just left like couches on fire over the weekends.
Oh, so it's just a thing.
You would walk outside, and every once in a while you'd see a smoldering couch.
It was like a tradition. Someone was having.
Yeah. Just a college tradition. I guess, I don't know.
That's wild. I never heard about that. Yeah, we when we were touring like a couple times a year, we would be in Richmond all the time because we got like super tight friends there, and like one of the people who played bass on one of our tours is from Richmond. Like good friend of mine, Mishi from like a bunch of awesome bands down there and stuff. So like,
nice.
Yeah, but I never heard that story. Hell Block. That's
I'm not sure if it still has. So they built up VCU quite a bit, but I started college to date myself in the year 2000, and they were still doing it.
Yeah.
So the apartments have kind of changed, but
you did already date yourself though.
Yeah, that's true.
You put it right out there, so we're all good now.
Yeah. I hope someone's still fighting the good fight and burning some couches.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get some more context in that, and maybe I'll like add a postscript at the end of the episode.
You can turn into an investigation pod.
Yeah, for sure. So you were saying like you do remember like some Beatles or whatever coming on, but that didn't click with you. But like then and you end up like stuff. Playing guitar and stuff. So like what did click with you as far as like what were the first bands that you got into where like guitar was sort of the driving instrument or whatever?
Oh sure. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be any special or unique when saying like Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Sure.
And, like Nirvana was like definitely an eye-opening, game-changing thing for me. And I was pretty much always really into music. I just have a hard time like remembering the first thing. Like my memory's kind of bad. Is essentially what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, it's very fair.
But yeah, Nirvana was awesome. And definitely like kickstarted a journey into other stuff. I remember my friend Chris, who I ended up eventually playing in bands with over the years. He was like a good friend in high school. Like he showed me Fugazi in like the 7th grade. I'd already been, elementary school was when Nirvana came out for me. So I was already past that point, but I think that's what them and Minor Threat probably took the journey into like more punk, aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
genres.
Like, when I first got Steady Diet of Nothing, like I was like when I first started playing guitar, and like I could like only like make weird noises, and that part of Steady Diet like resonated with me so hard. Like I was like, wait, I can hear how that, like they're obviously like very, very talented, and like they were leagues ahead of me and probably still leagues ahead of me. But like I could tell how making weird noises became parts of songs. And I was like, I can take what I like to do, like, which is like, just like, I knew a couple chords and I'm like, well, this all sounds kind of the same no matter where I put this right now. So like, and this other weird stuff was what I was really gravitating to, I was like, Yeah, for sure. And
yeah, go ahead.
no, just like huge band, like, and really sort of just drove me to like want to find weirder bands, or like bands that were even more discordant and whatnot.
Yeah. When I got In Utero, I remember I got a cassette version of it, and Serve the Servants, starts with that like huge ring out in the beginning. And I guess like Kurt or someone like coughs in the beginning of it. And I remember listening to that being like, is that supposed to be there? Does that make sense? And then realizing it was supposed to be there, and still like, thinking it's cool. But like at least in the beginning being like, what is up with that?
Yeah. I like I remember the first time, and I can't remember like what song it is. It seems like there's been a few songs that I've noticed it in now, but I remember like the first time when you heard like on a recording that sound where somebody touches the end of their instrument cable, like that. Like, I was like, oh shit, that's in a song. Like, like I know what that is, It was so cool. It was just like, you could do whatever you want, I love that.
There was this old pop punk band from Richmond called The Nuns when I was growing up. And some of those dudes went on to be in that band Count Me Out and some other stuff. And they had a song on their demo tape where the string breaks and you could hear the like string dangling. And so you hear that like, and I thought that was cool. Just like, I know what that is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a new one. That's a new one for me. I mean, I've had plenty of spring breaks like while doing it, but I never managed to capture it. Like, it's like, there's like a PV Fridge 412, like right there, and the microphone's like 2 millimeters away from it. It's like, I'm not capturing much of this other stuff going on at times, but yeah, I don't know, but it's like, it's really weird sometimes too, how you just will get these like every once in a while, like no matter how loud the amp is or whatever, you're just like, something's going on and you're like, I can hear my pick clacking.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, like, well, that's like
fun. Yeah.
little, that little percussion, like that you won't notice when everything's all mixed, but like in the separated, stems and stuff, you're like, whoa, okay. I don't know why that happened, but all right.
Yeah. I guess that gives some songs like a lot more character than like you probably realize if something's really like produced and scooped out. We're like, oh, that's cool. Like, gives a little bit more love or something.
I recently saw this thing and was talking about like, this person was like, mic like a brick wall in the room and add it to the mix. And I'm just like, that sounds awesome, but I don't want to deal with phase issues later, like.
Wait, sorry. He said just to mic the brick wall?
Yeah, like they were talking specifically about like in a drum track, so it makes more sense, because it's like the drums like bouncing off this, and it just like they just like added it in like a room, and it did. It really added something to it. But like,
oh, cool.
Yeah, but I was just like, yeah, I'm not like, because I just started like a new album recording this week, and I was like, yeah, I'm not trying that this time because I'm like pressed for time,
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, you kind of always are, right? So, like, not necessarily. Like, I always want to try this weird, cool stuff, and then I'm always like, I'm nervous. I'm like pressed for time. I'm like, I don't do it.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you do. You just like try something cool.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes how like what the final product of a recording can be, just based on some decisions of like the path of least resistance, or like you're just worn down and you don't want to hear the mix of it for a 30th time or something. So you're just like, it's fine. That click there is fine. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've got a few different like sort of drum miking like practices that I do that are based on like how like over I am like sitting with a headphone on for like however, or like sitting in front of the monitors for however long, it's like okay, we're doing 4 mics this time. Yeah, we're doing the X's overhead, and we're doing a snare and a kick, and we're just going for it. And then other times it's like it's 8, and so but yeah, it's like recording is, I mean, I've said it a million times, but it's like getting to the point where, like, that was always the goal for me, getting to the point where I could record music like from start to finish, and it's just so fun. And like that's like obviously been a part of your journey too, because like I noticed that like that you started this whole thing like as like I don't know if it was like a pandemic project necessarily, but it was like a solo thing, right?
Yeah, it was not a pandemic project, so it kind of just it is confusing. I will cop to it. It is confusing. So it just kind of like snowballed, for lack of a better term, or like a real slow moving thing. That started in like 2018. So I was living in Washington, D.C., where I lived for 3 or 4 years, playing with this one drummer and this guy James, who's on most of the Northeast regional recordings as a guitarist, and we were playing with another bassist. And so we wrote 5 or 6 songs together, and then I moved to Nashville for work, and didn't really like it, didn't really know that many people there. And so I got an idea. My friend Neil, from when I lived in Providence, he and I played guitars in a band called Best Practices together.
Mm-hmm.
But he's an incredible drummer. He played in the Screamo band Weak Teeth, and I'll call him Screamo, whether they call themselves Screamo or not. But anyways, Neil's an incredible drummer. So I had this idea of we would all meet in Philly to record with Steve Roche, like 5 of the songs that we did, and then I wrote a new one, and I offered it to the original drummer from DC. He decided not to do it, so it was James, Neil, and I met in Philadelphia, record the instrumental tracks. I played bass, and then I offered someone to sing on it, and they said they would do it, and then it just took too long. And we recorded in April of 2019, and then in August of 2020, which was pandemic, I was like, you know what, I'll just knock this out by myself, and put it out like a week later, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, so it wasn't really a pandemic project, but it gives it has the shine of a pandemic project where the dates line up for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes like it's just like you were like you seem to have been going like really hard in bands like all the way up until that, and so it was like was this a case of like, look, I'm tired of like a bunch of the stresses of a band, but it doesn't really sound like that. It was just like a bunch of circumstances.
I think it was just a bunch of circumstances.
Yeah.
Like I think that the impetus of the project was like, I like playing, I like recording a lot. And I wanted to try to get better at songwriting. It's something that I think I'm like not great at structures. So like really trying to like be disciplined in the structures and things along those lines was like kind of the challenge of it, but also to like have it be fun, have it be rocking. And then because that was a one-off, then I recorded 2 more songs with this guy Nate here in Richmond. And those were kind of more like slower Lungfish type groovier songs. And then based on that, I was like, why not put it out on an LP? I can do that. Sure. And so then I wanted to record 2 more songs and have some older songs from a project I was in called Reps. So I got some people from Richmond to record 2 new songs in 2022. And then we put those songs on the record. That's Eris and Amherst. And then from there, we just kind of stayed a band. So it's a little convoluted, a little all over the place, but I'm happy the LP is out. So it's like a nice compendium of those songs in that collection. And I kind of was talking with Paul, the guy who helped me put it out, and it's like, well, if I only have one record to do, this is a nice collection. So that's kind of what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. You said that you were trying to like get better with like song structures and stuff. Like, I mean, like best practices is like some of the catchiest shit I've ever heard. What did you feel like was missing? Like just, they were short, right? So was that part of it?
A lot of it. No, those songs are pretty good too. But some of those songs I really love a lot. Some of them I don't love as much because maybe the longer ones are actually have a little bit more like, what are we doing here? And I think I wrote a lot of those songs with more that Superchunk lead style of guitar in mind versus like power chords, which is probably more of what the Northeast regional stuff is. I don't know. No, it's just like, I don't want to downplay the best practice stuff at all. It's just like more, but much like then I had moved to Providence and like was just getting together with some people I didn't know very well at the time, and now are some very, very good friends. And that was more of like an explosion of ideas. Like, we got this. All right, let's do this. And so it took a lot shorter time, essentially, where I didn't like sit and think about it for a long time.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Like sometimes that's where, like that's where that energy comes from. Just like that kinetic like burst, like, we have to do this now. And I wasn't trying to like it wasn't trying to be like, why do you think that was bad? No. It's not, it's just like, what did you want? Like different, like what were you trying to, and it's just like more thought, a little more just like sitting on something and letting it germinate, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't take it that way. It's like, I didn't take it that way. It's more of like trying to figure out like, how can I write like an enduring song like A Salty Salute or some other like indie rock song that I listen to all the time and love. Like, or I was listening when I was writing the Northeast regional stuff. I really like this artist from Harrisonburg, used to be in Harrisonburg, called Tim Westberg, and he sang a band called Smart Boys when he was in Canada. And those are some of the catchiest songs I've ever heard, and I love his vocal styling. So it's like kind of sit with like songs like that, and just like that I can listen to over and over again, and like try to create something like that. That's like, I think it would be fun and provide people with like re-listenability.
Yeah. So, do you like Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting a lot?
Yeah, it's a great song. Yeah.
Because you're the only other person that I know that has kind of like ripped it off a little bit and just like put it right in the song. Do you know what song I'm talking about? Yeah.
I would. Yeah. So
did you ever think that before, or no, were you like, wait, I know what you're talking about?
I do know. I thought that was ripping off Ted Leo.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
Because I've done it. I totally did it. I also did it. I did a screamo version. And if people know what song I'm talking about, then cool. It's like I did basically what if, I mean, I'll tell you off the air if you want to know, but like,
sure.
But everybody else has to guess. But I did what if Judas Priest wrote Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, and I did a screamo version of that. And like, and as soon as I heard that song, like come on the LP, I was like, holy shit. Somebody else got the Saturday Night's All Right.
That might just be in my brain. Like, when I hope I don't get sued.
No, you're good. Don't. Elton doesn't listen to this. Don't worry about it. Yeah. But
no, that's cool. No, yeah.
Yeah.
there was a lot of texture and a lot of sort of like exploration on that LP. I really enjoyed it. I can't remember the name of the song, but like, you know, halfway in the middle, there's just like a almost like a commercial jingle, like a 30-second interview.
Yeah.
Interlude. It's called like it.
It's either called Breaker or Spacer.
Yeah, Spacer. That was it. I was like, the title was even something that implies like this is here to sort of cleanse the palate, you know, or whatever. So yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, there's, you know, in these conversations we jump around a lot. I think it's fine.
Okay.
I think people know the drill by now, but like we got all the way to Northeast Regional because we started talking about like recording yourself and how rewarding that can be and stuff. But like, let's take it back to kind of like your first serious bands. Like, I know that you go all the way back to like Light the Fuse and Run. I think there were some. I'm just like, I know Wow Owls, and of course we said Best Practices. I'm probably missing a lot of the bands from the early discography, but like if there's you know, like what was kind of like the first band where you were writing your own songs and you were getting out there and you know, trying to be a part of all of this?
Yeah, the first band I was really trying to get out there was a band called Soma. Well, they started as a band called Day One, and then we changed our name, and then we changed the name again. So like we had two different name changes, and it was called Soma. And so it's this guy, Isaac on drums, and Sean on guitar, and Drew on bass. And Sean was a master guitarist. He's very good. Like a lot of arpeggio styles. I think he was listening to a lot of like Mineral at that time. And Isaac, fantastic drummer. It became a rapper called Swordplay after a while. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh, no.
But it's just kind of funny. And it was like a screamo band. I will say, I feel it was a screamo band.
Okay.
And so like we would practice. I was like in high school still. We would practice, and they were there. We would practice for like 8 hours on Saturday. I remember like starting out, which seems untenable to me at this point. How long that is. You know, like ordering a pizza in the middle of the day. It was fun. It was awesome. They felt a lot of, you know, figuring out how to write music with other people, not having done it before. And they were already an established band, so I had started as much as you can be established at that time. So like I joined as like the second guitarist and had a couple of songs written for them and learned their old songs, and we wrote new songs together as one does. It was a lot of fun. I think to really drive home the point of this band, I remember like a bragging point was that we never repeated song parts.
Oh,
so I think people in this world probably know what that means or like how that might come across sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, I don't. There's only like up until a certain point that, I mean, there's literally like one of our songs that has like a part that comes up later in a song. And it was not ever by design. It was just like,
gotcha.
I was just always like, oh, I already did that. Like, why would, I don't need to do that again. But like, then I'm like, I don't know, at some point you kind of are like, wow, you're making this really hard on yourself. Like, you know, if the part's good, just play it again. Like, what's going on? Like, why you gotta come up with 7 other parts, you know? But
give the people something to hold on to.
Yeah, for sure.
That was my first band.
Were you playing shows and stuff?
Yeah, we played shows. We played a fair amount of shows. Isaac did a lot of the booking for us. Nothing like big. I mean, just mostly locals only shows and stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
trying to actually remember if we played any bigger show. We were supposed to play with Piebald, but a snowstorm came and that show got canceled. So I never got to play with Piebald, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Who we were all really into at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Was this
it's fun.
Was this like, like DIY house shows and stuff like that? Was it about that time when, in like where that was like really becoming a thing?
I think we played some. I remember we played what Strange Matter was called Twisters. We played Twisters quite a bit. And there was a place called Chopsticks that was in this area town called Carytown, which is that place is no longer around. And they used to do shows there. I don't think we played house shows much. We didn't play. WoW Owls played a fair amount of house shows, but some did not. And like the Peace and Run definitely played a lot of house shows.
Yeah, that would have been that definitely would have been around the time, from around when those bands existed.
Carrying like the bass cabinet down like rickety stairs in the basement. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, there was one show where there was a stair missing, and and there was like this, but there was like bungee cords on some of the other stairs, and I don't know. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but they're like, watch out, there's a stair missing right there. And we're just like, this is cool. Like, this is cool. This is like, well, I don't know. It was always like, no matter what was happening, it was always like, there's nowhere else I'd rather be right now. This is the best. Like, but it's funny to think about it that way now, it's like how many, like I did so many tours with this van where we just had a love seat in the back, like a literal love seat, like no seat. And that's like beyond dangerous. Like, I don't know why we thought that was an awesome idea,
Yeah.
But it's like nowhere I'd rather be, sitting in like driving this van and there's people sitting in a love seat in the back and like sleeping on the floor underneath the love seat and everything like that. But
Fuse had it wasn't a love seat, but it was, they called it Robo Chair. It looked like a chair that was like off the set of that movie Dazed and Confused, or from that time era, like an egg seat kind of thing, from what my memory serves.
Yeah.
No seatbelt, just like if any accident, person would just go flying. Like looking back on it, it's like so dangerous.
Yeah.
And then having the loft in the back. Did you guys have lofts?
Yeah. You had a loft. I think you're the first person that I've chatted with that knows what's up with the loft. I don't always, get around to asking or talking about it, but like, so there's probably been others, but this is the first time. Yeah. It's like, and like, I'm trying to explain to somebody at some point that like, you're asleep up there and every time you wake up, crack like your head right on the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
You don't remember that you're in, you just wake up and you like, and you're like, bam. But yeah, so dangerous. Like you would have shot out of that like a missile straight through.
Absolutely, yeah. Or like trying not to think about if, hopefully you don't flip over, that like all that equipment under there might come onto you or something along those lines.
Absolutely. You were just, that's, that's
really
a
think
new.
About it that much at the time, but like
No, you like never, not even once. Like
right.
It's
you're stoked to be there.
Yeah, it's so wild. Like I mean, it was like the first tour I ever did. I was like 19, and there was people like they sort of like recruited me right out of high school. Just like they were older than me, like they were like near 30 or like somewhere a little older than 30, and I guess it's just like I was just so enthusiastic about music. They were just like, that's what's up. And they took me out and they showed me the ropes, and it was just like this wild. And I mean, I'm 19 and I'm like doing the only thing I've ever wanted to do since I could remember. And I'm like in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we're in this like, we're driving through this like sort of like really ritzy neighborhood, because we're basically gonna like we're basically gonna break into this like pool. Like we're just gonna like hop the fence and go into this pool, and for as long as we can get away with it. And like, so we're driving like really slow, and there's all this traffic, and I just like get out on top of the van and pretend like I'm like Teen Wolf, like surfing or whatever. And they're like, "What are you doing? Get in here!" Like what? And they're like, "Don't do that." And like this is like people that also did like some of the wildest shit I've ever seen. You know, like, and I'm just like not getting that was like, really, you know, I mean, I don't know.
Like that. Yeah.
Now that I have children, I'm like, don't do that. But I was like that, you know, it's like,
it is funny to imagine that, of like thinking about you yourself now, of like, you know, going back to that style. Like I would never, like, why would I put myself in that much danger?
Yeah.
And I had a question for you. So you probably are more in the, so like, do people still tour like that with like Lost and like that? I know that sounds like, I've been out of the game for a long time is what I'm saying, but that, you know?
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, like, I don't know anybody that personally that is that irresponsible. Like, I like the last few tours that I've did where we toured with a band, like, that like was like driving us and stuff when we were in Europe, like they were totally professional. They had, I mean, they just had everything wired, and they're like everybody like, you know, seatbelts and, you know, and all this and like, and that's in Europe too, where like the person sitting next to the driver can like literally be drinking beer and stuff, you know, but they were like really like responsible. And, you know, everybody that I know, like, I mean, everybody has like good directions because you can get it on your phone, and everybody like, it's just like worlds above what we knew when we were, you know, irresponsible and much younger. It's like, and good for them.
The joke with the fuse was like, the directions always be like 3 lights before the McDonald's, you know? So it's like, you have to like go to the McDonald's to find out you've gone too far to go back or something. Then the direct, like, look for the kids.
Yeah.
Like, that was always the joke.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, you know, there's this really messed up tree stump, and you're like, I don't know what that means. Like, like, and it's always, you'll know it when you see it. And like 50% of the time you did know it when you see it, but the other 50%, it's like, you know, where am I? But I don't.
There's also a level of like the show must go on attitude, I think, with like a lot of bands breaking down, from what I remember from bands at that time. Like that's kind of wonder. It's like, do bands break? How much do punk bands break down these days?
Yeah, that I can speak to a bit, because like, you know, like a lot of my friends are still out there, like, and some of them like they really go pretty hard, like touring, and you know, there was like a couple instances where I can remember my friends within the past couple years, like where some really ridiculous would happen with the van situation, and it would be like all hands on deck, like everybody, like there's 3 rental cars now, and the bass stuff is going in this one car, and like just doing everything you can to like make it work. And I mean that I can speak to that, you know, the show must go on attitude for sure being like still prevalent. Like, I mean, you know, bands are still out there, like this is like just like we were, where it's just like there's nothing I'd rather do in the world. So you know, like that was what was up. I mean, it was, I mean, I think it wasn't, you know, until like one tour where we, like an old band of mine, we set out, and like it was the middle of the worst snowstorm that the city that I still live in had like ever seen. And we were like, tour starts today though, we're going for it. And we were on the road for like 2.5 hours and we did not even like get like out of town.
Yeah.
Like the weather was like so bad and people were so stressed and they were just like, we gotta hang it up. We gotta call this off. And then we had like gone back and it was like, you know, just like a weekender thing or something. And we had gone back and like, I'm like, I'm so sorry. And people were like, oh yeah, the show's canceled. Like it's this storm's ripping through like from all the way to whatever to Cincinnati, you know, or whatever. And we're just like, but we tried, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's, I mean, you know, that's DIY, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
That ain't going to change.
Yeah. Those are some of my favorite stories and aspects, I think, of it.
Yeah.
Of like you're doing what you love, but also there's an absurdity to like making sure that the show still goes on. And I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Especially like, you know, back then before, like we didn't have there was no real way for us to gauge like what we just were like, this person is supposed to do cool shows. They booked our band. Like, let's hope it is cool. And we had no way, like we never saw Instagram pictures of other shows at that house or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's just like now you can get a pretty good gauge. You could be like, oh, it looks like shows kind of go off there. Like, that's awesome. But back then it was just like, you don't know. You could show up and it'll be like the wildest 50 people you've ever met, or it'll be like 3 people that are all like super into it, but you're just like, you're like, we got lost for like an hour and 45 minutes and like we were so worried about getting here late, et cetera, you know? And then it's just like, they're not started. Like, no, you know, nobody started because it's like they're waiting on people to show up. And it was different, but like, it's like you said, it was kind of an adventure to that as well.
Yeah.
Just like,
it was fun.
Occasionally I do miss the weird directions, I'll be honest. Just like,
I get that. Yeah.
Just like how you would find out about like some random local like waypoint, you know, that you just like won't find out about now. Like, and then you're gonna go by like old man Cooner's house, you know, and you're like, I don't know what that is, but cool.
Yeah.
But so like was it like the Fuse and Run that was really the first band of yours that like got out there in a big way, or?
Yeah. And I probably some stolen valor for that for me. I was the third bassist. So,
okay.
But I did do like 2.5 with we did a 2.5 month US tour with Transistor with me on bass, and then we did a month in Europe, and that was long and intensive. Being honest. It was a long time to be out. That was probably like my first band, but it was also like something I was really excited about, of like seeing the country essentially, even through the lens of like touring, which you don't really get to see or know a city too well, because you only experience it in like 24-hour, 48-hour bursts or whatever. But it was still awesome, you know, like I still look very fondly upon that experience. And also like being able to go to Europe and play music is like unreal. And like, it's, you know, it was a long time ago for me, but also it's like something I don't take for granted, and just something that like a lot of people don't have that experience, or like even just like touring around the country, like a lot of people don't have that experience of playing music like that for people to various levels of interest and, you know, engagement. So it's like pretty awesome. And I think that's like sometimes at least for me, kind of easy to forget that like that's not an experience a lot of people have. So it's like pretty unique and pretty cool.
it's so wild that like, you know, we've had access, and like we've had people that have managed to like sort of knit this like web of you know, spaces together over, you know, whether it's like a house that's like, these people are definitely getting kicked out of this house within 6 months because as soon as the landlord finds out, you know, there's 2 holes in the, you know, walls down in the basement, like because somebody you know, accidentally kicked through the wall. Yeah, it's absolutely wild, and it's super amazing, and like you probably did that at like the perfect time in your life too, because like I mean I don't know about you, but I mean I'm not going out for like a month and a half at this point.
No, I
for
couldn't
sure.
do that. Yeah.
It's like it's just like I the last time I, you know, went out for like 18 days, I was like, it's weird how like I would come to a certain point where it's only 18 days, but I'd come to a certain point where I'm like, it's just like some kind of like almost like madness sets in.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's like only 1 or 2 days, because then you realize, wait, this is like practically over at this point, you know?
Yeah.
But a month, like my younger self could have definitely been down with that. But like, you know,
for sure. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So
best practices went out for 5 days, and that was like 10 years ago. And I was like, we're good. That was good.
Yeah, that was nice. It's time for me to go sleep in my bed now, you know? Yeah. One tour that I went on in a band not that long ago, all the shows we played like kept like basically like the next show would be like we'd have to get on the interstate and basically go by my house. So we just like kept staying at my house. Like, cause it would be like, we're going from Chicago to like this place. And then we're going from this place to this place. And we're just like, we're going like the interstate we're practically going by my house again. Like we're just staying in my house. Like,
why not?
Yeah. And then like we played a show in Ohio, and the bass player was like from Ohio. And we're like, we're staying at your house. So we stayed like at his house 2 nights and at my house like 3 nights, and we were just like, this is the best tour, like we should just do this, you know? But so like Wow Owls was a band that like I always saw y'all's name and everything, but I don't know why you weren't like I don't, you know, not a lot of bands were like really on my radar at that time. Like that was kind of like that era was when bands like that were like a harder to come by, I feel like. And because it was like pretty much like right after all the bands in 2002 and everything kind of broke up, you know, and I didn't really like, I was playing in bands until like 2004, and then like like my life started getting more demanding with like my, you know, my kid and stuff. So like it was like, and I didn't really start getting like playing music again. Like I was like writing songs and trying to do stuff, but I didn't start playing out again until like 2010. So like when I'm revisiting that now, I'm like, hell yeah. Like, because like, you know, the shit was always there, you know, it's just like, I just like kind of didn't, you know what was happening. So like when y'all were touring and stuff, what kind of bands were you playing with at that time?
I think we played with that band Stop It a lot.
Oh, okay.
From here. They're from here. I think we played a couple shows with Circle Takes a Square.
Yeah, of course.
It's like so we did 3 tours, 2 like very quick trips on the East Coast and Midwest, and then 1 Europe tour. One of our best shows was in New York, where we played with Menaguar and Gospel, and this band called Puppies, which had Dima and this guy Miles. They were in like Books Lie and some other stuff.
Oh shit!
That was probably like one of our favorite shows that we played outside. I don't know. Yeah, we didn't like we always toured solo for the most part. But like those, I think there was a lot. Like, yeah, Minibar was in full force. So was Gospel. Foreman to stop it. I think my assistant wasn't going. You can probably hear Francis.
Yeah.
I might have to put her down in a second. We played with Ultra Dolphins. That band Ultra Dolphins from here. That's who we toured with in Europe. So that's actually probably, and they were from Harrisonburg, Philadelphia, Richmond area. If you need me to say that again.
Oh no, I think
I don't know if you ever. Yeah. Have you heard them, or like were you familiar with a lot of that, like Virginia stuff?
No, but I do recognize the name. It's kind of hard to forget that one.
Yeah. It's a cool name.
A lot of the bands that you mentioned, like The Assistant and Circle Takes the Square, like my band Akamili, when we were like almost on our way out, we were playing shows with those bands and stuff. And like, I mean, ever since, you know, I've been playing with Tom's bands ever since, you know, like, you know, like 99 and whatever, you know? Like it basically, like every version of one of my bands played with every version of one of Tom's bands, you know? It was like, what era was it? And when Tom would come through Indiana and we'd end up playing either here or we'd play in Fort Wayne. I don't know if you knew any of those kids in Fort Wayne.
No.
If you had ever played up there. They were that was definitely a spot that, you know, was pretty well known as far, like that was like the place to play in Indiana for a little while. It was definitely a good show spot up there. But yeah, it's I mean, you know, as you start saying, like, yeah, there's more than I like, you know, I definitely, you know about gospel, and like I went to high school with Kathy from Circle Takes the Square, and so
cool.
We ended up playing like one of their Indiana shows when they had come up, and Coma Regalia played with them on, I think it was their last tour, as well. But yeah, it's not like it is now though. Like now it's like, you know, we're back like full, like you could book screamo festivals and stuff again, you know, like huge, you know, like 40 plus bands, you know, and stuff. But it was really cool to revisit that, and that, you know, leads me to another thing I was wondering, which is like, because y'all had just released like this unreleased like 3-song 7-inch not too long ago, and what's the story behind that, as far as like the songs got recorded but they never got, like, what was the plan originally for those songs? And then
well, this will be boring, so my apologies in advance. But also I want to say, I think we only played with Circle once, but it doesn't really matter. I want to put in a stump for the band Malady. We never played with them. But they were around the same time, and that was probably one of my favorite records to come out. I still listen to that one.
Oh yeah, that's like Page 99 people, right?
Yeah, City Council.
Yeah,
Page 99. Yeah, it rules. So for the 7-inch that came out, we recorded one of those songs before we had broken up. A friend of ours had said, like, "Hey, I'm starting to do recordings. Like, can I record a song for you?" And we're like, "Yeah." So we had that and did that, and that was Scary Berry, and that turned out pretty well. And I think the idea was that we were going to do a split LP with that band, The Catalyst, who was also very good. I think those, maybe misremembering it, but I think their songs that were going to be on a split turned into the split with Mass Movement of the Moth. Great record, Mass Movement of the Moth Catalyst split. And then we decided we're going to break up, and we already had one of them written. And we kind of finished writing the other one and decided just to record them for ourselves, just to make sure that we still had them. And I think, honestly, it rules. Like, I really love that recording of those last 2 songs.
Yeah.
And we had like CD burners for our last show. And like, I can't remember if we sold them or gave them out, but they've just been sitting there, CDRs, and then someone, Larry Records and Gene Scene Creamers. I might be getting that wrong. My apologies.
No, that's what it is.
Yeah, they asked us if we wanted to do a discography tape, and we said no, thank you. But then they were like, "What about a late of the 7 inches or like the last song?" They're like, "Hell yeah, that rules. Let's do that." And then it kind of happened like it would have in 2006, where like someone asked us if we wanted to do something, and then we would say yes, and then they just took it and ran with it. Brandon did the artwork and stuff, and it came out really nice. I'm like stoked to have one. I really like those songs a lot.
Yeah.
There was no master plan, I'll say.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
kind of happened.
Yeah, sometimes that is the way. How did they know about the songs? Is it just like a thing that people know? It was up on Discogs or whatever? Like there was CDRs made of this?
I don't know. Like I don't think we hid those songs. They maybe on a Bandcamp somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. It wasn't sneaky or anything, but but it might not be as well known as the LP or something.
Sure. I don't know. Sure. Yeah, I just sometimes wonder, I'm organizing this comp, and then my friend Tanner is just like, "Do you want an unreleased Spirit of Versailles song?" And I was like, "What?
Oh, cool.
What the fuck are you? What? Like, how does this happen?" But I mean, it's still every once in a while, it's just like I'm such a like every part of the meal person. Like I'm such a this one didn't I'm such an archivist, I guess, in that way, that
I feel you.
Yeah, it's just like somebody can't go to me like 10 years from now and be like, "Are there any songs that," and I'm like, "No," because I did.
Yeah.
Because every 5 years I put out of, "Hey, you all never heard these songs, but how about that?"
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, but yeah, that's really cool. And I also I thought they were great songs, and and I'm glad that something happened with them, and people get to experience them.
We're really grateful to the record labels to put that out too. That's like really flattering, and also like really nice to be like, have them invest time and money and energy to like put something out that you did, at this point almost 18 years ago. So it's like, it's really cool, and we were really stoked.
Yeah, they're real nice folks at those labels too. So we got started with the Northeast Regional origin and everything, but so you had all these songs, and you're basically like, okay, this could make a really cool and really full LP. So you do that. So then you sort of more or less have a full band at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so what changes how you're going to approach the way you're recording or the way you're releasing the songs at this point?
Yeah. So we have a 7-inch coming out in February on Tor Johnson Records. It's called Fitness. It's 3 songs. It's with the lineup that did the songs Eris and Amherst. And so it's 3 guitars. So that's and they're down-tuned and a little bit more aggressive and in your face. And that's just, I think, what happens when you down-tune guitars. But from a songwriting and thinking about it perspective, it's been interesting to lay a foundation down and then have Mike and James come up with different guitar leads. James lives in Washington, D.C., and he's the one that comes up with the leads that come up over the rhythm, and Mike comes up with Mike and I have been playing guitar together since 2015. So I think our guitar styles complement each other pretty decently. And so it's been really nice to instead of writing and presenting the songs, and then, here's the part you play, etc. Like they're able to add their own spin and personalities to it. So that's like been really fun to explore. So we have that 7-inch coming out. We've only played five shows total since 2022. So I think we're gonna try to play a little bit more. And then the idea is to hopefully write 8 songs for a full length, just because that would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to listen to that again. I mean, I listened to it earlier. Thanks for sending me that, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was great. Like, I started with that, and then I went back to the LP, and so like I can see how all sort of like the piecemeal, like, or however you want to put it, ideas of the LP like turned into this sort of like more condensed, like these are the basic ideas, and turned into these 3 songs. But I definitely, not like you said, 3 guitars. I gotta go back and listen to that with my engineer ears on to like see how you manage that. Because like, did you do like a one centered and then one hard right and hard left, or is it a little bit of everything?
I think it's a little bit of everything. In some ways, it's like, it sounds like a really wet recording, or it's like all kind of there, which I like. I think it's really nice. The guy
it was very punchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's just the first thing, is just like, you put it on and it's like, it doesn't hold back. It's like right away. You're like, okay, we know what we're getting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, recorded wise, I'll be like, sometimes it's hard to hear, like if I know which one is my guitar, kind of thing. But I know which one's Mike's guitar, I know which one's James's guitar, but like all the other rhythms kind of meld together in a way that I also think kind of sounds cool. Like, yeah, it's a little over the top in some ways, but live, it means I don't have to play guitar the entire time. So I can just focus on the vocals, which can be kind of wordy. So it's like but live, I think it, like, to me, helps really balance it out, where Mike kind of does the rhythms while James kind of does the stuff. And then I can kind of come in on the choruses to kind of accentuate those a little bit more.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish, like, I can't even get a second guitar, but like we're like probably like a 4-piece band, but like we were always just playing as a 3-piece. Like we were just playing as a 2-piece forever, but now at least we're a 3-piece. But like it's always like, I'm always like, it would be cool if somebody else could play this lead, so I didn't have to try to like do this like lead part while I'm trying to do the vocals. But, so like I definitely feel you as far as like, you're just like, can I just like hit the bar and then sing this part and then hit the next bar? Like, can I just meet up with y'all kind of thing? That's tight. Kind of fun. But like you said, the 7-inch comes out February 9th. I'm not exactly sure when this will air, so I'm maybe people will have had a taste of that in the during this episode. But like I mean, like the songs are great, and like I hope people check them out. You said eight songs is what you're aiming for on. Like,
I think, who knows? But
are you into that 8 songs already? Like, or is it kind of just like, no, let's get the 7-inch out and then we'll worry?
Well, we have some ideas, for sure, within the 8, but we haven't practiced to expand on any of those ideas yet. So we've been kind of taking a break till the new year.
For sure.
I mean, it'll probably be much of the same, like rock songs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like you're onto something. So, don't worry about it if you don't have to, reinvent the wheel or whatever every single time. But, it's been really, great chatting with you and everything. And, I'm sure that we could both sit here and tell old war stories for another hour. Sure. But, is there anything that we should touch on before we take off? Like, is there anything we missed? You have any shows coming up? You said you hadn't been practicing much, so.
I think we have I don't know when this will air, but we do have a show in February at Fuzzy Cactus in Richmond, Virginia.
What date is that?
The dates.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the 15th. It's the 15th. Yeah. And that's with a band called Payphones from here, and I can't remember and I don't know if they announced who the third band is.
And that was my conversation with Jeff Byers. Thank you so much, Jeff, for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks to all of y'all for listening as well. If things sounded a little different today, it's because I've got my main mic set up on the guitar cabinet, and also I've been recording vocals. So lots of exciting stuff coming soon. Anyway, until next time, take care and do good things.